All right, let's do this.
Let's do this.
All right. Hey, hello. It is the Go Birds podcast. Okay. Like this team, it is like, I don't even know what to say. Here's what I'm going to say. They're 4-0. They made plays when it mattered. I think it's very clear without talking to them about seeing the Heat got to them in the second half. They obviously did not look like the same team, but built a big enough lead and made enough plays. Obviously, there's a lot to be frustrated about with the way that, it was that close and all that. But here's where I'm at, Eliot and Eliot Shorr-Parks down from Tampa. Like at the end of the day, like they're 4-0. They just beat a 3-0 previously Bucs team in a tough game in a spot that they've historically struggled in, as we've talked about, like against a team that doesn't die, as they show. Baker's freaking good, man. Like he's a gamer. They're tough. Like, we'll talk about some of the ugly stuff we saw, but you know what, man? We said get through this first month 2-2 at worst, and they're 4-0 with two big conference wins, and they're 3-0 in the conference, 1-0 in the division. Like, you know what? I'm pretty happy right now, man.
Yeah, so it's funny. Last week, we do the halftime show, me and Tucker, and what I said on the halftime show last week almost meant nothing after the game, and it's almost the reverse of this week, right? So, if you go back and you listen to the halftime show, the mood is pretty high, and I'm going to try to hold on to that a little bit because, to your point, that was an impressive win. Like, look, the second half was not good. We'll talk about it, and I think it's more to something throughout the week, or at least tomorrow. We'll have to see why that happened. I'm actually not as quick to say it was the Heat. I do think they just played poorly. Obviously, exhaustion's part of that in the Heat, but it was inexcusable second half. Like full stop, they cannot play that way, and we'll get into it. But I think the first half is still the story of this game. Like Jalen Hurts was unbelievable in that first half. There's a reason they had the lead they did. There's a reason they had 31 points, and it was really all three phases of the football team in the first half, and all three phases of the team in the second half that struggled. But in the first half, I thought to start off with that block punt for the touchdown was absolutely huge. Yeah, I mean, you figure that was two
touchdowns, back-to-back special teams plays other than
exactly. But like, I said on the pregame show that I thought one thing they absolutely needed today was to start fast, and they did that. They came out, they were the tougher team, they were the better team, they were the more disciplined team in the first half, and as a result, that's why they got the really big lead. So obviously in the second half, that falls apart, but in the first half, I thought Jalen was like everything you could ask for in a quarterback in that first half. He ran the ball well. He threw the ball well. He was unbelievable against the blitz. I think he was 15 to 16. He had the 2 touchdowns, and a lot in the first half. There was a lot of like Kevin Patullo. Here we go, Kevin Patullo revenge.
In his bag. And
which look
fun plays, like 2 shovel pass touchdowns, Andy Reid style. Like obviously the tush push thing. Like it looked fun.
And credit to Patullo, right, and Sirianni and all of them, but I thought the first half of the story was the players, like the way they executed in that heat, the way Jalen played, those shovel passes, those are complicated plays to run. Like that's not an easy play to run. If you watch it, I mean, you're a second late or a half a second late on your block, and that ball's getting thrown into your back. Like if you block wrong down the field, that's a penalty. So I thought the execution of the team in the first half was like super, super crisp. And I also thought that they came out like wanting to send a message. This is a team that is very rabbit-eared. They know what people are saying. They're aware of criticism. And that's especially true at the top with Nick and Jalen. And they heard all week they can't beat Tampa. They're, the Buccaneers laughing at them for how worried they were about the Heat. I thought they came out with an absolute attitude. Like Quinyon Mitchell, I think is in some ways the story.
Attitude, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And look, that's the second half, right? But the first half, I thought he was exactly what you want in a cornerback in that first half. I thought it was interesting they went after him as much as they did. They clearly came into the game thinking they could go after him, and it didn't work. Like he was awesome. He batted away all the passes that came his way, didn't allow any big completions, did probably get away with a few holding calls there in the second half, but he was awesome. And I like that he came out with that attitude, talking to Baker, like getting up in the face of, whatever Buccaneer was really near him. Now, there were some personal fouls, which again, I'm trying to hold my criticism for when we talk about the second half, but I thought coming out, like he had the attitude you wanted to see from this team. And, look, they're 3-0. It's really hot. Last year, well, I was going to say coming
in the moment. My fault.
Yes. Sorry. It's all good. Yeah. So coming into the game,
I'm ready to fight people.
I know. Yeah. Well, coming into the game, they're 3-0. Last year in this spot, we saw this team quit, right? Like they were short man, but they
were
quit.
1-1 at the time too.
And they were well, no, they were
No, I'm
they were
sorry.
2-1. They were 2-1.
My
Yeah.
fault, my
So
fault,
they fell to 2-2 last year. But I thought last year what really stood out was just like they quit. And it was a really bad look for Nick Sirianni last year, the way the team performed in Tampa. This year, second half aside, I thought they came out exactly how you wanted them to. They look prepared, they look fresh. And again, like Jalen Hurts in the first half, as the second half stats here up on the screen, in the first half was amazing. Like he picked the blitz apart. He is so good on third down. Like, Baker in the second half was really, really good, but Baker made a play that Jalen would never make. Like Jalen would never ever throw that interception to Jahad Campbell. Yep. He would never do it. Like now he would make some of the other plays Baker made, like running on that third down was a big play by Baker. Baker made some big plays down the field, but Jalen, again, in a game that was like itching to have collapse on them, he didn't make the backbreaking mistake. He did get away with an interception that potentially could have been picked off, but it wasn't, right? So ultimately, this team, when they were not at their best in the second half, they did not make the one crucial mistake that would have lost them the game. So I think the first half, obviously, in this game outweighs the second half because they won the game, but the second half, obviously, not great.
Yeah, look, they've shown mental toughness in different ways. Obviously, last week, the way they fought back. This week, being able to hang on through the heat and, while it's kind of falling apart around you, to not give the game away, to not make those mistakes that the Bucs did. Whether the Buck Irving fumble was it a fumble or not, like that was a mistake. The Baker Mayfield pick in the end zone was a disastrous play. They probably win the game. They might win the game if they score a touchdown there. Who knows? So just to your point, and look, the defense obviously had some struggles in the second half, some just letdowns. Those 2 touchdowns, the long ones, were just, you don't see that often with this Eagles defense, where they, kind of just a defensive mistake and someone gets behind the defense and can go. But
both rookies, by the way, Bakuba and Jahad Campbell.
Yep. Yeah. But I will say, like, they made some big plays when it mattered, and you saw the athleticism out there. I mean, between Bond and Campbell, it really is jumps off the screen.
Bond is unbelievable.
I think he's like one of the best players in the sport. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, agreed. Yep. And I thought coming off of last year, we talked about all offseason, like expecting him to be as good as he was last year was maybe unrealistic considering how unbelievable he was. I don't think he's been better, but like he certainly has been just as good. Yeah, I don't know if it's possible to be better, but dude, the hit he had today on, I think it was 3rd and 1. Like I don't know how you physically stop a human with that momentum and that weight and size from going.
Running back, and he's a freaking linebacker.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Dude, and he was like 5 yards back, and like it's. But so I give them more credit than not in that point, again, with like, especially in the first month of the season when we know we're working on things, like we've now seen, like, I know they haven't put it all together, but we've seen them be able to do all the things we're going to need them to do between throwing the ball. Like, honestly, the funny enough, really the only thing that hasn't at any point gotten going has been the running game.
Well, and I thought today was the first game where it really hurt them. Like they were
able to salt the game away. Yeah,
unable to kill the clock. Like one thing they've always been really, really good at, even when they didn't have Saquon, when they had Miles and DeAndre, like they could salt games away. Now, DeAndre Swift, not as much. They struggled with that at the end of 2023. But in 2021, 2022, and 2024, like they would kill like 5-6 minutes off the clock. In the second half, what really hurt them.
Yeah, totally.
And look, Jalen was 0 for 8. So like the passing game was it's like worse than the running game, but they needed the running game in that second half. And those possessions they had were like 58 seconds, 2.5 minutes, a minute and a half. Now, what helped the defense in a twisted way is that the defense was also not on the field for long because they were giving up like 70-yard plays. So, but in the heat, when the offense isn't holding on to the ball, that does make it really hard on the defense in the second half. So, the first month of the season, it's been a lot about the passing game. I think this is the week where we officially start to see some concern come up about the running game because now the Bucs are very good against the run, and that is worth noting. Like they were top 5, but like the Eagles should be able to run on anybody. They were able to run on anyone last year. And I think today, the phrase like do it when you need it is a little interesting because in theory you always need to do it, right? But like today was the day where they needed the running game and it didn't come through for them, and they almost lost the game because of it. There was other reasons they almost lost the game, but I think today was the first day where it was like, all right, what is going on with the running game?
Yeah, no, and I think it's going to be a topic of discussion moving forward. But And look, again, in the second half, it's just hard to kind of parse what's more important between these first and second halves. So we're both saying that ultimately at the end of the day, and what we said coming into the season to stay consistent, you look at things and point them out, but at the end of the day, they're through a really tough start to the schedule.
Dude, and the next four are not hard.
Way better. And here's the thing too, that I underrated, and you always heard it said, and it's a cliche, and I was always like, nah, like, I think that's overblown, but like, I really do think the champs get every team's best shot. Like, I really do think
I agree with that.
No one takes you lightly. There's no like Green Bay going into Cleveland last week and losing because they're like, oh, it's the Browns. Like, no one, you're going to get everything from every team.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen teams fight against the Eagles. And really, I think that's going to be something they're going to have to contend with all year. But I mean, there's been a tough stretch. I mean, they went into Kansas City, won. They came home, beat a really, really good Rams team that could be a NFC contender for this year, is the NFC. And then they did the same thing in Tampa, a place that's been a bugaboo for them. And again, the discipline, the penalties. I do think, and look, it is what it is, but I do think some of these penalties, and you have to learn, the Eagles have to learn to not taunt. Like, that's just what it is. Even if it's not taunting, I think the Cooper Jean was an absolute disastrous penalty call. But sorry, and I felt I didn't see who it was. Maybe fine. What the point is, like, they have to know better. Like that. It was one play where it was, I think it was Campbell or someone made a play, and like he was gonna kind of flex, and I didn't see who the player was. I didn't catch it, but he a guy came in and was like, no, move away, and it was like, yeah, more of that.
Yeah.
Like, at this point, it's just what the NFL is going to be doing. It's dumb, but some of like the rough in the passer penalty, I thought was a really bad call. Ultimately, we've talked so much in the past, Elliot, and seeing Nick Sirianni teams early in seasons, especially that first year we all remember, like struggle with discipline and penalties and all that, and they have always found a way for that specific thing to right that and to correct those things and to be better about it. But I think so far, I think running game, that's one of the questions marks right now, and what's going on? Why can't they move the ball? And look, the injuries along the O-line, Steen in and out, Lane missed a lot of time, all that stuff that plays a role. Cam hasn't been as good. Landon obviously hasn't been as good. But I think in addition to that, the penalties, the drive, kind of whatever the opposite of the drive killer, drive sustainers that they're giving the other team when they're making plays and bailing them out with penalties. I think that's the stuff that right now you're looking at and saying, all right, they need to correct that stuff.
Yeah. So about the personal fouls, because I agree with you. The running game has to be better. I do think it's the offensive line. Like, maybe I'm being naive, but I just truly don't think Saquon looks cooked. Like, I don't.
I don't think like maybe Saquon is 95% of what he was last year or something like that. But like, I agree. I don't think maybe it's something. Look, it was a big season with a lot of touches, but like, I don't think he still looks amazing. He's still
now
better
today
out there. But it feels like the O-line just has not been able to create holes, not been able to, really make things happen.
Agreed. Now today, Saquon was slow to get up. Seemed like he was dealing with something.
He was hurt and he stayed in the game. It was like, what's going on? I thought he was like towards ACL and he was just out there.
To the personal foul thing, right? So I agree with you. Nick is very, very good at fixing problems. We've seen it. And I do think it is a problem, right? Like, they are a team
it's been all season long so far.
Right. Well, and also like
the season, they had the most high profile one you can have to start the season. And it keeps happening.
Well, and I'll say this, like, look, I don't watch the other 31 teams as closely as I do the Eagles, but I do see the other teams the Eagles play every week. And I've seen teams come to play the Eagles in training camp, and like, the Eagles play with more of an edge than other teams. So like, it is a bit of a tougher problem for the Eagles to solve than it is other teams, because they play with a toughness. They play with like we're gonna beat you up. So like, it's harder to harness, to your point. Now, that being said, like, Cooper DeJean stepping over somebody, you can't do it, right? Like, that's going to get called. Are they soft calls? Sure. But those are the rules now, and you have to deal with them. I don't know how you do it, because I think it's hard to ask players to be like this tough, no one wants to play you defense, and then afterwards, like, just turn it off when, like, it's going to be hard to do. Here's what I would say though. Like, me and you have always pretty much been on, like, when Nick yelled at the fans last year in Cleveland, like, I was on his side with that one. I didn't think it was a big deal. I've always defended Nick's sideline antics, but if you're going to be stressing after the call, taunting Nick, you can't be going like Baker, like you can't be yelling at Baker, right? Like, if you're going to tell your own players not to taunt, you can't be doing it. Like, honestly, Nick's lucky that wasn't a flag. So I thought that was on Nick, right? And also, I'm not like completely going to tie the two together, but I don't know, man. Like, when you don't really penalize Jalen Carter at all. Like you don't bench him. Like if Jalen spit on someone in the first game and then you don't even take him out for a series the next game.
Another taunting.
He gets another one today. Yeah. So like
home game. I don't know if he got one today, but either way, he got the one.
Right. He got one last week. And I think he got a personal foul today, but it wasn't taunting. But regardless, like I think that through 4 games, the biggest concern I have with this team is when you're playing close games in the playoffs. And look, maybe they won't be close, right? Like they blew them out in the final 2 games last year. But when you're playing close games in the playoffs that are going to be emotionally charged, this team can't be giving up 15 yards on different drives. Like the Bucs only scoring drive in the first half, it was 48 yards and 30 of them were on a penalty. Like, you know, and the roughing the passer call, you have a better view of it than I do. It's tough for me to see replays. I thought he did get Baker in the helmet on one of them. Maybe the one later on was worse, but
the second one was what I thought was a horrible call. The first one,
here's the thing: like the Eagles are more talented than a lot of teams, so they can afford to make a few more mistakes. But like,
you also can't give it away. That's how you lose.
Yeah, like exactly right.
Team, you don't want to give the other team advantages.
That's exactly right. You. Yeah. So like the emotional thing, while Nick is very good at fixing problems, like I'm a little worried about this because the NFL is targeting this specific thing and it pokes at like an exact strength of the Eagles, but they're kind of making it a weakness in the way that they're calling it. So I am worried about that for sure. Now as to the second half, like
real quick, can I just jump in on the penalty thing? And then
go for it.
Because I first and foremost, I'm not worried about it. It's like I said, it's the other thing I mentioned with the running game that I think they need to work on and fix, but I'm not like going to say I'm worried yet because they have had such a good track record with it. But I totally agree with you. At first, I didn't mind the Baker thing when it happened. I was like, it's fun. It's
Me
football,
too. We were
Baker.
texting about
but
it.
Yeah. But shout out to Rhea Hughes. Rhea texted me about it and she was upset. And I was like, oh, I don't mind. And she was like, dude, you can't be telling your players not to do this. And if Jalen Carter and you're not, and then you're doing it. And I was like, it's like, good point, Rhea.
Well, you know what's funny?
I was like, and she's right. You're right. You're both right. So I'm with you. I think he has to rein that in for now while his team, like, do it in the right way. You know what I mean?
So it's funny. It was either you or someone else texted me during the game being like, oh, Nick's jawing with Baker. And at first I was like, oh, I don't really mind it, whatever. But then you see it and you realize how one-sided it is. Now we don't
fired Baker up right after that.
Yes.
When they were on the run.
Yeah.
You never know.
So so you're right. Like they're 4-0 and honestly, if you look at their upcoming schedule, they could very easily be 8-0 heading into the bye week. Like they're going to be somewhat heavy favorites again in the next 4 games, barring any type.
They could stumble like that Jets game a few years
ago.
Yeah,
look, it could happen for sure. Yeah. But for what it's worth, and it doesn't matter how much you win by early in the year, but like they have been getting by a little bit by the skin of their teeth. So I do think like the personal fouls and stuff are going to come back to haunt this team. Now, quickly for the second half.
They could have lost because of it today.
For sure.
That's how a team like that comes back with the 8 of those type of things.
Yeah. Now, I can't tell you why they collapsed in the second half. Like I'd have to rewatch it. I don't know what's.
It has to at least be considered as a factor. We talked about all week. Like the longer you play in it, they talked about the second half. It was hotter. They talked on the broadcast about how the reason the opposing sideline is because of how hot it gets.
Yeah, it's in the sun. Yeah.
So it's just like I'm not excusing it. Like it was not okay the second half. Like whatever. I'm happy they got out, made enough plays, and ultimately that's my biggest takeaway. But I can't be like blind to the fact that
you're right. It's part of it.
Played a role, It's
part of it. Now that being said, Jalen didn't complete a single pass in the second half.
It's not an excuse. It's not,
Yeah. So like to me, it was really, really bad in the second half. And this is kind of what I'll say to wrap it up.
It was excruciating, Elliot. It was
it was not fun.
To watch. Emily and I were sitting there like, Emily's like, I don't even want to look,
But you know what's crazy? I never in a million years thought they would lose. Like I'm almost numb to it now. Like I feel like fans go through this like journey in the second half. And I'd be curious to know how people felt. Like even when it was ugly and bad, I was more just
Campbell pick. Well, I thought we might lose when they were driving. If they had scored a touchdown there, tied it, even if they didn't and could stop us to get the ball back and kick a field goal, like I don't know, man. Nervous there, but when we got that pick there, I was like, all right, I think we're gonna win. I get it. I didn't think we were gonna lose, but I was nervous. If you know what I mean.
I feel like I watch these games now more just like judging how they're playing than what the outcome's gonna be because they just always win. Like this is
wild world we live in. Buddy.
It's true though. Like they're 20 out of 21 now. I mean, they haven't lost. Jalen hasn't lost a game he started in a full calendar year. So like
tomorrow, yeah.
So when I'm sitting there in the press box, like I agree, it was ugly in the second half. They collapsed. It was like. There was just no part of me that was like, wow, what if they lose? I was more just like, all right, well, how am I going to feel about this game as a performance? And so I do think like look, the second half was bad. The running game's not been great. The personal fouls are all there. I mean, we are just living through an unbelievable stretch of Eagles football. Like I was saying at the it might be the best Eagles team. It might be the best Philly sports team of our lifetime if you include last year.
It definitely is.
Yeah, right. So like,
I don't even think it's a question.
So like, yes, it wasn't pretty, but every week we get on this pod and fans do it in radio and we like, and it's like, we're nitpicking at things and it's not nitpicking because they need to play better. But like, imagine being a Bucs pod, imagine being a Giants pod, imagine being a Rams pod, right? Like, so yes, the second half was bad. 0 for 8 cannot happen. They're too talented, like the Heat, all those things. I mean, they freaking won again. They're 4-0. Like they're probably going to win 14 games again, barring an injury. And like 14 might be a low for this team, right? Like I think you would set the over under at honestly 13 and a half, 14 and a half at this point. So
look, and like, Washington lost today, so they're already not, but they're already 2 games up in the division.
Yeah, like so the second half happened. The second half matters, and we'll talk about it more throughout the week. We get to rewatch it. But like this team's ability to just kill every single obstacle that they face is truly impressive. And the Buccaneers was a big obstacle. They've struggled down here, and they came down here, and for the first half, they embarrassed the Bucs. And then let's be honest, in the second half, like it's a little bit of what happened with the Eagles last week. It's why I wasn't as encouraged with the offensive performance last week, because it was a little bit of like, the Rams were up big, the Eagles got momentum, and like that was the reverse of that. But I do think the main thing you take away from this is like how mentally tough this team is, and they're never going to lose. Like we're probably going to see them lose like 4 games over the next year.
It's amazing. And look, to your point, like like last season at this time they were 2-2, and we were all upset, and they got so much better as the season went on, to the point where when it mattered most, they were the best team we've ever seen. Like, and look, I know 2023 was what it was, but let's give this team the benefit of the doubt that what we're watching right now is going to get better. So, all right, Elliot's got to go. We will be back later in the week. Obviously, so much more to react to and talk about. But you know what? 4-0, man. With a
unbelievable.
4-0. All right, we'll be back later in the week. Until then, 4-0. He's Elliot and James.
That's a good defense.